planning to elope because my parents are trying to make me agree to letting my sister's boyfriend propose to my sister. Plus updates. Original post. Maybe this is the wrong place, but I'm going to explode with rage and disappointment at my family. My baby sister is the golden child. Or maybe that's unfair to say. She survived cancer when she was a child. It was the darkest period of my parents' life. I don't remember much of it because my parents shielded me from the horrific truth. I knew she was sick and I remember all my childhood spent in hospitals, but never did I know that my sister almost passed until many, many years later. I was 12 and she was 10. After she beat her sickness, she became the obvious favorite in the house. She got everything she wanted, and sometimes it was at my expense. I resented that, but I always heard that I was a naughty girl for being jealous of my hero sister. My sister grew up to be a brat. Now 20 years later, she is still bratty. Although we get along a lot better than we were teenagers/young adults. My wedding is in July. Neither my fiancé nor I have the money for a big wedding, so we settled for a small wedding. About 30 people, at my fiancé's grandparents who own a beautiful house with lake view. My parents, when they heard this, said no way and offered to pay for a bigger wedding and better venue. We didn't agree at first, but later did as we did not want to disappoint them. It seemed like it was important to them. Then last week my mom invited me over. My dad, mom, and my sister's boyfriend asked me what I would think if my sister's boyfriend proposed to my sister during the wedding. So it becomes an engagement party as well as a wedding. Mom has seen reels on Instagram about people proposing to maid of honor/bridesmaids and thought it cute. And my sister is my maid of honor. I said no, that's ridiculous, and laughed. My mom was livid. She told me I was selfish and ungrateful, and I accused her of favoritism. I told her I always thought it was odd that she'd pay for my wedding, but now I know the reason why. She started crying and kicked me out of the house. Later, both she and my future brother-in-law sent me texts warning me from exposing their plan to my sister. My fiancé was disappointed, but not sure what we could do. My parents have spent almost $30,000 and it's too late to cancel. My mother called me today to plan a proposal, and I begged her not to ruin my day. She told me that since she was paying, she can make requests, and that I should let go of my jealousy and resentment towards my sister because she's innocent in all of this. But the thing is, this day will be about my sister. I told my fiancé to ask his grandparents if they're still willing to host my wedding. If they are, I'll revert to our original plan. If not, I'll just elope. Not sure yet if I'm going to tell my family and cancel the wedding or just let them have their grand proposal party. None of my family is invited to my wedding, including my sister. Thank you for listening. Now for the top advice before reading the updates. Uninvite them, go do the wedding at the grandparents' house, and let your sister and parents have a $30,000 engagement party. Great that your sister survived cancer, but your parents put you on a back burner your whole life. Now it's your turn to enjoy it. Do what's best for you. This is an awesome suggestion, because it's what they were planning all along. This is all very disturbing, and it reminds me of that story where a girl was graduating from college and her parents decided to go to her younger sibling's prom instead. WTF? What is wrong with some of these parents? That's messed up. And you were right, this was all pre-planned. If you do have it at fiancé's grandparents, will you invite your family? Seems they can't stand for you to be the center of attention even on a day you should be. I won't. I'm done. They have no right to try to force this on your wedding. I've had a lot of medical issues throughout my childhood, including cancer. And still as an adult, I always felt guilty that my little brother spent so much time in the hospital or staying with my aunts. Once I was healthier, we reverted the attention back onto him as the baby of the family. One year I was in the hospital with cancer and he spent his 7th birthday with our aunts. We had a mini party at a hospital on the weekend, and one of my dad's employees made him a WWE cake as a gift. Then, when I was back home, everyone decided to give him a big birthday at a park. He got a lot of gifts, and felt a lot better about not spending his birthday with us. My parents always made sure we all had the same amount of attention and love. I'm sorry that your parents didn't do that for you. I don't blame you for inviting them to your wedding. This is supposed to be one of the happiest days of your life, and they don't deserve to be there if they can't let it be about you and your fiancé. Lots of comments seem to delight in the ways you can cause maximum pain to those who have offended you. Mostly, I want to say how sad I am that instead of looking forward to what should be a wonderful day for you and your future husband, that you are finding yourself having to do damage control and grieve broken relationships. I don't have any idea as to how you can fix this. Only thing that I do suggest is to do your best to come out of this being able to feel good about your choices, what you say and what you do. You don't have to make your family happy or do what they want. You are not required to have an ongoing relationship with them. You do have to live with yourself through the years. Do things in a way that makes you proud of you. Edit: I can't tell her since she has no idea her boyfriend is going to propose, and this would ruin the whole thing. At the same time, it would be ruined anyway when I elope and she wonders why. But as of this morning, my mom still says they're going ahead with the proposal even without my help. The original plan is that I would be the one making the speech and telling my sister there's a surprise for her, and today is about us to blah blah blah. And then her girlfriends and boyfriend do some rehearsed dance to their favorite song and then he proposes. If I know her well, she wouldn't mind being proposed to on my wedding day. So it's a lose-lose situation for me. Sometimes I think maybe I should agree and get it over with, but I'm so angry. And my fiancé actually doesn't want me to cave this time since we both were happy with the backyard wedding. We even asked mom to donate what she had planned on spending on a wedding to the Childhood Cancer Fund, in our names like what we've requested as a wedding gift from our guests, but she insisted on a party for the extended family. I had a back and forth texting with my future brother-in-law where he called me jealous and bitter. I have now blocked him. He texted my fiancé apologizing, but we didn't answer. My plan now is to get married a week earlier at my grandparents-in-law with 20 guests, because we have managed to change our honeymoon trip booking to be 3 instead of 2 weeks, with departure day the morning after the wedding. My mom's wedding party is already paid in full with no refund possibilities with such short notice. 3 weeks. That was the whole point, I think, to spring this information on me so close to the wedding date so I can't really do anything about it. Now they will have 1 week's heads up anyway when they see my wedding pictures on social media. They will probably just turn the wedding into an engagement party and have a blast. So it's a win-win, I hope. You could also turn it into a destination wedding without your family. Imagine them finding out you married someplace awesome and they weren't invited. Maybe get married on a beach where you wear a white sundress and any bridesmaids wear sundresses with tropical flowers? If your parents bought your wedding dress, I'd return it and get something for a more relaxed wedding. Let them see you marry in a dress that wasn't part of their manipulation. I really can't afford a destination wedding with a short notice. It would have been the ultimate revenge though. My dress is a gift from my mother-in-law. A very simple dress that probably cost $200 to $300, but it's so beautiful. Could you give us an update on how things are going? And now for the first update. I'm getting married on Saturday. I haven't told my family about it, and I won't. The last time I spoke to my parents was 5 days ago. I told my mom that I wasn't going to attend a party she's paying for and that they should just make it an engagement party instead. She said I was being ungrateful and bitter. I told her again that I wasn't going, but she doesn't seem to believe me. 2 days ago, I told my sister about the whole thing. She was shocked at first, but later basically asked me to go with it. I told her no, and she said she was disappointed in me. Why do you have always to complicate things? My mother and future brother-in-law are so angry at me now for ruining their surprise. But I felt that I had to tell my sister why I'm canceling my wedding, right? Had she supported me, I would have told her about my wedding on Saturday. But she sided with mom and her boyfriend in believing that I'm overreacting. So now I haven't spoken to them since. Sooner or later, they'll contact me about preparations and rehearsals because they honestly don't believe I have it in me to cancel the big wedding. Let's hope that they find out I was serious first when I'm already on my honeymoon. I'm planning on leaving my phone turned off or in silent so they don't ruin my time with my husband. Oh, I need to get used to this word. My husband. And now for the second update. I really want to thank everyone that showed me support. I'm now happily married and in Como, Italy for my honeymoon. I tried to stay away from my phone, but I was so curious to see my family's reaction to my elopement a week earlier than planned. It was really ugly. I must start with saying that I really tried my best to negotiate and compromise with my family and truly explain that this was hurting me. I have nothing against my sister, and to be honest, nothing against her getting engaged on my wedding. But the principle that it was made very clear to me that I had absolutely no opinion or say in what was going to happen and what's supposed to be my special day was where I drew the line. It wasn't a wish or a request. It was a matter of fact, and it was decided. So I told my mom that I'm not going to attend a party she's paid for. Maybe they should just make it an engagement party instead. She got very upset and told me that the engagement was supposed to be a surprise. I told her that I was just giving her the heads up since she's about to lose an insane amount of money. She didn't take me seriously, like I wasn't going to cancel my wedding because of a trivial thing. What she didn't know is that I've already made plans to get married a week earlier at my grandparents-in-law. We invited our closest friends, and some even had to book earlier flights and take more vacation days. For these people, I was extra grateful. What was left was my sister. I'd been back and forth arguing and negotiating with my parents and future brother-in-law. I decided that even if this would ruin her surprise, I had to tell her, so I did. She wasn't really happy with my mom, but she was more upset that I ruined her surprise. And she, as I expected, thought I could have just sucked it up and gone with the flow. I didn't tell her about my new wedding date. The wedding was dreamlike. In the back of my head, I was hurt that the people who loved me the most weren't there. But I pushed the thought away and refused to let it ruin our day. My husband was amazing. He promised to make me happy for the rest of my life and to make up for every heartbreak I've experienced in the past. My in-laws surprised us with upgrading our honeymoon to a 5-star hotel. I had my friends and some cousins and my favorite aunt attending. We asked them not to live stream or upload any pictures to social media until we're already on our honeymoon. We also asked them not to engage in any altercations online with my family. Today, my mom made long Facebook/Twitter/Instagram posts bashing me and my husband, calling me ungrateful and disrespectful with pictures of my wedding, telling people that I've cost her a big chunk of her savings, and that she's now demanding compensation. Her Facebook post was shared about 200 times, and the majority of my extended family is angry with me. She never once tried to contact me. I really thought she would bombard my phone. Instead, both her and my dad announced that they're cutting me off and are expecting compensation. Future brother-in-law commented that I ruined his surprise, and my sister made a post about being tired of jealous broads and haters. None of the people we invited has commented, even though some of them were directly attacked, so they respected our wishes. I don't know if they're going to go ahead and turn the wedding into an engagement party now. I really hope they do, so the money isn't wasted. It's on Saturday. I'm sorry the update got too long, but with the amount of people asking for an update, I hope this was what you wanted. Now for more comments before reading the final update. So, your mom tried to ruin your wedding by making it all about your sister's engagement and expects to be paid for it? Baby, congratulations on your wedding and your new peace and quiet. Sister can pay her back for her expensive engagement party, lol. Good for you, OP. I'm really happy to see this update. Maybe you should just post your whole story from here to Facebook post and log off. I don't think they're going to listen to you, so take a cathartic experience writing it all down and let the world see it. I'm sure their entitled behavior won't like the truth. Do this. I'm sure your mom colored the story to a version that made her and your sister out to be the victim. Please announce your pregnancy at her wedding even if you're not pregnant. Get up as if you're going to make a speech and announce that you're pregnant. Haha. That is if I was invited to the wedding at all. No, don't waste your time and energy like that. Put them all in the past and move on quietly. Now for the final update. Yes, they did. And they blew the internet with pictures and posts about how magical the night was. Little sister made sure to write about haters not ruining her special day and how she's surrounded by the people that mattered. From what I gathered, about 30 to 40% of the guests that were invited showed up. This means they can't sue me for the wedding. So all is good. Now for the last story. Am I the a-hole for canceling the Airbnb and leaving sister-in-law basically stranded after she brought her dog? I booked an Airbnb retreat for me, my husband, my sister-in-law, and her husband about 4 months ago. The Airbnb was not dog-friendly and I made that perfectly clear, as my sister-in-law thinks her dog should be welcomed everywhere no matter the cost. She said she would find a dog sitter and I had no reason to question it. The Airbnb was out of state, about 15 hours away on a really nice beach in Tampa. My husband and I flew down and my sister-in-law insisted on driving, so she left roughly 24 hours prior to our flight. She said it was cheaper to drive than it was to fly. When my husband and I arrived, my sister-in-law and her husband were already sitting in the driveway. When they saw me pull in, she had asked if we got the keys yet, which we had because we met up with the owner along the way. And she said, "Oh good, give them to me quick so I can get Brute inside without being seen." I just stopped dead in my tracks and was like, "Are you freaking kidding me right now?" She kept saying things like, "What? I couldn't find anyone to watch him," or "He is old and housebroken." I don't know why anyone would be ignorant enough to say no pets allowed. And basically just kept making excuses as to why she was in the right. My husband is just sitting there completely dumbfounded and shaking his head. I just went back in my rental car and left. I got a refund from Airbnb and dropped the keys off with a woman and explained the situation. She told me I could still stay there because I've been honest, but I told her no, the place was too big for just my husband and myself. We ended up staying at a significantly less expensive hotel. I paid almost $4,000 for the week for the Airbnb, but only spent $1,800 for the week at a hotel. During this whole time, my sister-in-law is blowing us up saying she can't afford to stay down here. My husband and I make a lot more than sister-in-law and her husband, so we had agreed to pay for everything, and says she didn't bring anything with her to snack on and couldn't afford the prices of goods here and whatever. I just straight up ignored her, because in my eyes, she tried ruining my trip that I 100% paid for. My mother-in-law's down in our throats now, saying the least we could have done was give them some money for food, instead of leaving them stranded. But I told her, nope, they can just drive back home and get food there. Am I the a-hole? Now for the comments. Not the a-hole. If a person can't find a dog sitter, they stay home. If a person can't afford snacks or food, they absolutely have zero excuse for going on vacation. Sure, but who goes on a road trip with no snacks? Sister-in-law's full of it. They ate the snacks and are trying to score pity money. Not the a-hole. She ruined her own plans by refusing to follow explicit rules that she clearly knew she was violating. She left the day before you, so she had plenty of time to discuss bringing the dog if she really had issues finding someone to watch it. It seems to me that she never seriously considered leaving the dog behind, and thought she would get away with it if she didn't mention it before arriving. She left early so she could drive down with the dog. She had no intention of leaving it behind. Update. Am I the a-hole for not letting my sister see her kids? Original post. I, 28 female, obtained custody of my sister's 35 female kids, 9 male, 4 female, 2 female. Back in 2018 after she left them alone for 2 weeks to go on a trip. Read drug bender. Of course, this was a huge transition for the kiddos. They had to be moved to schools and daycares and of course couldn't see their mom anymore. Now, the kids are doing better and definitely lead happier lives. Recently though, my sister was released from prison and wants to see the kids again. She called me, begging to have a visit with them and telling me that I could give them back because she was out of prison now. I've had a talk with a 9-year-old, and he says that he doesn't want to see his mom yet and that he still hates her for leaving him alone. The girls have no memories of her, and the smallest one was only 3 months old the last time she saw her. I do feel like I could have helped them foster a better relationship with her, but I don't want to force the oldest into meeting with her when he absolutely doesn't want to. Still, my close family has told me that the oldest son doesn't know what he's talking about. It is my fault that the little ones don't remember their mother because I didn't take them to see her when she was in prison. They also told me that it's my responsibility to force them to meet her, even when they don't want to, because that's what's best for them, and they shouldn't grow up without their mother. So am I the a-hole? Edit. I have spoken to a professional about this, specifically the oldest therapist. They have advised that it should be up to him. I just want to know if I'm being a jerk to my sister. Also, I have adopted the kids and have full custody of them. Now for the top comments before reading the updates. Are you telling me that she left a 3-month-old and a 2-year-old alone for a 7-year-old to take care of? Not the a-hole, absolutely. Anyone who would do that to a kid deserves to be in prison. I think it's great you're respecting the kids' wishes. And if you force this visit on them, you will be the a-hole. Edit. Misleading title, OP. Those are your kids. You're not letting your sister see your kids. If sister thinks the son is old enough to take care of babies at 7, then he's for damn sure old enough to decide not to see her at 9. NTA, NTA, NTA. People love to forget that children are autonomous beings and can make rational decisions. Young children are extremely impressionable, and all of them are going to be extremely hurt by their mother's abandonment. Forcing them to see their mother when they don't want to is one of the worst things you can do for their well-being right now. The 9-year-old is likely traumatized if he's this insistent that he doesn't want to go. Your family is understandably going to want to fight you for this, since you obtained custody from your sister. Their viewpoints are going to be extremely skewed for a number of reasons, especially your parents, if they just can't believe that their daughter ended up like this, and that it can't really be all that bad. Keep the kids safe. The last thing they need is to be put back with a neglectful family. Not the a-hole. I'm not a child psychologist, but despite what your mother says, it's possible that it could actually be bad for them to see their bio mom, your sister. But you're definitely not the a-hole. Not the a-hole. I am a therapist who has worked with kids in CPS family reunification and permanent foster placement/adoption. Please listen to the oldest therapist and your nephew. He trusts you to keep him safe after all he has been through. If you go against his wishes, this could cause him and his sisters irreparable harm. Your family's invested in maintaining a family unit, not making sure that these kids have the best care. If there is any entitlement from their mom, then she's not ready for a visit or anything. If she's truly ready to make amends, then she will wait for him to be ready, earn everyone's trust, etc. If she isn't ready to do the work or acknowledge the impact of her actions, then no dice. Please protect them, even if it means going against the rest of the family's wishes. Edited to add. Someone asked below what should OP look for if bio parents were serious about wanting to make things right. They would respect oldest child's and OP's feelings/boundaries. Be willing to work with oldest child's therapist if appropriate. Be willing to participate in supervised visitation. If so unwilling, be willing to participate in a recovery program. Not just staying dry and not using, but really investing and participating in getting sober. This would be a start. Again though, the child has to be ready. Not stay whole at all. OP's job as a mother is to protect those children. Protecting their son means doing what is best for him and respecting his boundaries. Their previous mother is suffering the consequences of her actions, not OP's. OP, you are a wonderful person. I have a toddler and an infant, and if I also had a 7-year-old, I'd likely be cray. I am so sorry you are in this terrible position and so inspired by you. What lucky kids those are, truly. Now for the first update. So I wasn't expecting to make an update post because I honestly wasn't expecting there to be an update to this. Unfortunately, I'm wrong. I gave my oldest 2 weeks to really think about whether he wanted to talk to my sister or not. I figured that the decision he made at first might have been made out of anger, so I wanted to give him time to make such an important decision. Ultimately, he decided that he did actually want to talk to her. I have to admit I was a little bit surprised, but we set up a Zoom call between them anyway, of course with me supervising. Right before the Zoom call, he admitted to me that he wanted to talk to her just to see if she'll say sorry. She did not say sorry. Actually, she opened the call with, "Hello, it's been so long. I guess you're ready to come home with me now?" And then she noticed that I was sitting there with him and almost immediately launched into accusations about alienation and how I have to give the kids back now or she'll call the police and say I kidnapped them. My oldest was very obviously disgusted. He asked her if she was going to apologize to him, and she actually had the audacity to ask what she had to apologize for. At that point, he just shut off the Zoom call. I asked him if he was okay, but he spent the rest of the afternoon in his room by himself. That night, he told me that he never wanted to talk to her again, ever. I told him that never is a long time, but that we weren't going to make him talk to her if he didn't want to, and we were never ever going to give him back to her. He told me that never is a long time, so we told him that in this case, it meant never. I'm still shocked. I don't know what happened to my sister. She was my best friend as a kid. She was almost my second mother. She was sweet and caring and nice. I just don't know how all that changed so fast. Or maybe it didn't change that fast, and I just never noticed until it was too late. And I was driving 4 hours away at midnight to pick up 3 little kids, one of which I didn't even know existed. Before now, I honestly never considered myself as their parent, even after I legally adopted them. More like I was just taking care of them long term. But now I realize that those kids are my kids, and they're going to be my kids for the rest of my, and hopefully, their lives. Thank you for all of your help, guys. I hope you all have a fantastic day. When school starts back up, make sure you make the situation very clear to the school. And take care for the little one as well. There's a good chance she will try to pick them up. Last year at my kid's school, a mother who had lost custody kidnapped her child. She just walked in, chatted with a receptionist, casually said she was picking up the kid for a dentist appointment. By the time she was caught 2 days later, they were in New York. We live in Florida. This happened to my little brother. My mom came and picked him up from the babysitter. When my dad got off from work and went to get him, we found out that she had left him in a hot car, was wasted, and called the cops for some strange reason. Cops ended up calling my dad, telling them our infant brother had been found. We still have no idea what prompted her to call the cops. My little brother was okay, just really red and dehydrated. But now I realize that those kids are my kids, and they're going to be my kids for the rest of my and hopefully their lives. That is the best outlook to have, and I wish you all an amazing life together. You keep knocking it out of the park being their mother. I saw that coming as soon as she said my oldest midway through the post. I was like, oops, she said my. Consciously or not, she views him as hers now. Oh my gosh, I just noticed. I didn't realize I said that. Okay, I'm gonna go cuddle my kiddos and cry now. I'll be back in a bit. I wondered if you noticed you said that. I'm super happy for you and the kids. Not everyone is so lucky to have someone save them from a bad situation. Wishing you all nothing but a bright, shining future together. Now for the second update almost 2 years later. If you're reading this, it's probably because you decided to follow me after reading one or more posts in the Reddit saga that summer 2020 was for me. Okay, life update time. My oldest is now 11. He's in the 6th grade and recently got a shiny new bike with 7 gears and a real light on the front that he's been riding to school. He's also a Boy Scout and is swimming competitively. I'm super proud of that one. My middle is 6. She was diagnosed with autism spectrum disorder last year. It's been a bit of a transition trying to get her the help she needs, but I have to admit, it's comforting to have an actual diagnosis to go with our concerns about her. While not a big TV fan, she loves dogs, Lego creator sets, and somehow matcha green tea. Who would have thought? My youngest from that post is 4. She's generally having a good time, and is the wild child of the family. Kiddo is constantly covered in scrapes from her adventures around the backyard and the neighborhood. She has a balance bike which she loves to ride with her big brother. And last week she caught the neighbor's cat and got a nice scratch from it. Didn't cry though. Tough kid. And surprise, we added kiddo number 4 in October. Neither of us were expecting for me to get pregnant, but it happened anyway. My oldest is super pumped to have a little brother. Baby is, well, baby. He's a pretty chill baby and can sleep through almost anything. That's a plus in my book. Our cat, our beloved Aristotle, passed away in late December. He was very, very old. He did live long enough to meet baby though. I hope you liked him. For those of you who saw these posts, both of my little brothers are in college and back on campus. They came back for winter break and we had a really good Christmas. Culinary school does wonders. For the people who ask, my sister is doing fine. She went through rehab last year and is now in therapy addressing her own issues that led to her addiction. She has a job and an apartment and is going to community college. She has come over for holidays, and she and my oldest go do something together once a month or so. The youngest 3 all see her as an aunt. I know that's something I'll have to explain as they get older. For the first time in a while, I feel like I have my big sister back. I forgot to mention that I got married back in April. It was a pretty small ceremony, so we ended up having it in a friend's backyard. My youngest was the flower girl and another friend made cupcakes for us, and it was everything we wanted and more. We're doing pretty well. My husband and my oldest are putting together a tire swing to hang in the big tree in our backyard. Baby is chewing on my shirt right now, but I don't have to care because I'm on maternity leave. It's great. I am going a little stir crazy in this house, so I'm gonna try to take the baby out to watch the ducks later. That's generally it. Thank you all for the love and support you poured onto my posts nearly 2 years ago. I hope you all have wonderful, fulfilling lives full of peace and laughter and love. Goodbye. This sister is such an exemplary human being. Great head on her shoulders, and a huge heart made of gold. She actually led a new generation of her family towards a brighter path, despite her sister and her parents' wrongdoings. A great human being indeed. Makes me sad for the sister though. Did you notice Opie in this post mentioned her sister was practically like a mother to her, and a younger brother said the same thing about Opie in his post? The oldest sister didn't get anyone to shield her or attempt to parent her. That's probably why she's such a mess. I know someone who lost custody of their kid and had referred to it as when relatives stole baby. It is like, God damn it, girl. You need to be on your knees thanking everyone that your child didn't have to go into foster care. You messed up so hard that your relative could not even legally let you contact the kid until you got your act marginally more together. Own it and do better. People have infinitely more patience for your rehabilitation when it doesn't include you blaming other people for what you did. It's such a disconnected and messed up love for their kids. Loving someone means their happiness, even if that means being away from you. Even for parents and their children. Good parents recognize their faults and shortcomings and work on it for their kids. The mental distortions going on are immense and absurd to not be able to feel grateful for people taking care of your kids when you legally or otherwise cannot. So many people just see their kids as property. Often, when people talk about protecting children, It has nothing to do with what's best for the children as actual human beings. It's just about protecting the parents' ownership. Now for the last story. Am I the a-hole for dropping my sister's kids at a child-free wedding that she was at? To make a long story short, I, female 25, am a medical student. My free time is very limited and I have lots and lots of commitments. My sister, female 33, has 3 kids all under 10, and she often expects me to babysit for her, which isn't the main problem, but she drops them off at random times with very short notice, or no notice at all. The other day, she called saying she was on her way to drop the kids off at my place, because she was attending her friend's child-free wedding and she couldn't take the kids with her. I had a huge argument with her on the phone because I had to study for my upcoming exam, but next thing I knew, the kids were at my doorstep. And she was already back in the car, then drove off with her husband. I was so angry I couldn't handle it. I decided to get dressed 30 minutes later and take the kids right where their mom and dad were. I drove them to the wedding, which was at her friend's house, and had them go in. The men there tried to stop the kids, till my sister and her husband came rushing. My sister was shocked. She started shouting after me, but I quickly got into the car and drove off. I went home and she started calling me. After she realized I wasn't going to pick up, she sent few texts calling me unhinged and a freaking witch for putting her in this situation and embarrassing her in front of her friends. She mentioned that by bringing the kids to the child-free wedding, I disrespected her friend, which affected their relationship and caused her and her husband to go home and miss out on the rest of the wedding. Her husband called later, and I picked up thinking he'd speak to me irrationally like he always does. But he scolded me, saying that it wouldn't hurt if I kept the kids for a few hours, and then expressed how disappointed he was, and how selfish and petty I was to do this to my sister and her kids. Now, I'm thinking I should have sucked it up for a few hours. Am I the a-hole? Now for the top comments. Not the a-hole. Your sister dropped her kids off at your house without prior arrangements, assuming you had nothing else to do. She thinks she's entitled to everyone else's time and help. Hint, she's not. You didn't do this to your sister. She did it to herself. She knew she had a wedding to attend and should have arranged with you in advance or hired a babysitter. You did not disrespect her. On the contrary, she disrespected you and doesn't value you or your time. She and hubby decided to be parents. It's their responsibility to take care of their children and not dump it on someone else when it is inconvenient for them. Let's not forget that OP may not even be home whenever these unexpected tests/drop-offs occur. Not stay home, OP. And weddings don't happen last minute. It's a planned event. You make children arrangements in advance in order to attend. Absolutely no reason for the parents to drop the kids off last minute unless they're entitled a-holes. OP, not the a-hole. Not the a-hole. You were very nice to them. The other option would have been to call CPS. Yes. I also want to point out that the sister probably had some sort of prior notice that her friend was getting married, and that the wedding was also child-free. She most likely had plenty of time to ask the OP if they were available to babysit, and if not, to find another form of childcare. The sister is a huge a-hole. Am I the a-hole for not giving my sister money out of my unborn children's bank account? I'm 28 female, have been married to my husband, 29 male, for 7 years. We were high school sweethearts, and tied a knot as soon as we felt it was right in our adulthood. We always knew we wanted to have a family with 2 kids, 3 at most, but we didn't want to just start having babies without doing everything we possibly can to prepare. So immediately after we got married, we made 2 joint accounts, one for our shared finances, and one for our future children. We would both work pretty decent jobs, and we have been putting $200 to $300 out of our paychecks into the account for our future children, plus all the other money that we received outside of work, birthdays, gifts, etc. That account is now sitting at a pretty decent amount of money. My sister is under some financial strain at the moment. Not too long ago, she got in a car accident where she totaled her vehicle and the other driver's vehicle. It was her fault, but everyone's okay. And she didn't have insurance. Now it is basically impossible for her to get affordable insurance, and she is paying out of pocket for the damages to the other party's vehicle/medical bills. My parents called me yesterday and asked me to come and see them, so I did. When I arrived, they sat me down and proceeded to ask me if I could give my sister $10,000 out of the account for my future children. Without hesitation, I said no, and they called me inconsiderate and a bad sister. I explained to them that my husband and I have been saving that money for the last 7 years to prepare for our future family, and that is just not a decision I can make. that my sister is facing the consequences of her own actions, and I shouldn't have to put up money that I have been saving for mistakes she made. They aren't seeming to see it from my point of view, and clearly not seeing how ridiculous of a request that is. They said it won't hurt since I don't plan on getting pregnant anytime soon, and that they will work up a way to pay us back. But I stood firm in my decision, and I told them that my sister made her bed by driving irresponsibly, and now she has to lie in it. So am I the a-hole? Now for the top comments before reading the update. Tell your parents that she's their kid, and the money is for your kids. They even know about the account and how much you have in there? It's not anyone's business what you do with your finances, except for you and your husband. Yes, stop telling people how much money you have. It's not their business. After reading Reddit for 2 years, I can't believe how many people blab their personal finances to their family. All that does is bring out the moochers. Zip it. Just tell your parents you talked to your sister and you guys worked things out. This does 2 things. Kills their current request for money and puts them on notice that you two have no problem talking about money issues, which heads off any further asks for money. I actually really love this idea. Edit/update. Thank you for all the kind comments and helping me see things from all perspectives. I'm editing this because I have recently been in contact with my sister about this, and she had no clue that my parents were going to ask me for such a large amount of money, let alone any money at all. She said that she asked them for assistance, about $500, but she's paid off majority of the costs of the damages. It only needs about $3,000 until the damages are completely paid off. She's also said she's not worried about getting a new car right now because her boyfriend's mother is letting her use her old one that is not being used otherwise. She also said she has never asked them for assistance on this specific matter anytime before the other day. So that leaves me puzzled as to why they need 10 grand if my sister owes a little under 3 grand for the damages, and if they were even going to use the money to help my sister in the first place. My sister reiterated to me that she would never ask for that kind of money, especially knowing how expensive children are. She has one of her own. So that poses another question. Do I confront my parents about lying to me? Update 2. Sorry for the wait. I spoke with my husband and we decided not to confront my parents. That whatever financial burden they're dealing with is not our business, nor do we care. We won't be giving out any money from any of our accounts. I believe my sister will confront our parents for using her in their lie. If that happens, I will update again. Also, my sister and I are not estranged, but we don't talk much because our relationship has no depth, because we've never had anything in common. Music tastes, style, boys, etc. I've never been able to relate to her and vice versa. I love her dearly though. I call her to check on my nephew periodically, but she lives 45 minutes away, so I don't visit often and vice versa. There were a lot of comments about sharing my finances with my parents. I was 21 when I discussed this with them, just thinking I was harmlessly informing my parents about my plans for their future grandchildren. I agree with all of you when you say I shouldn't have done that. I know this topic will come around again, and I plan on ignoring it. Again, I would like to thank you all for your input in my dilemma. It was greatly appreciated. Next story. Am I the a-hole for not giving my sister her share of the college fund? Plus update. Original post. A little backstory. We came from an extremely sexist family. For example, my brother got a car, 75% of our parents' estate, a big farm, lands, and all the machinery for it, and they paid for his college. My oldest sister had to take out loans so she can finish her education. While I never went to college because of my undiagnosed ADHD, now I'm in therapy and start to become okay-ish. But I have money because of sheer dumb luck. My younger sister, 22 female, started college 2 years ago. My parents offered to pay to rent a room after she didn't get a scholarship and a room in the dorms. I offered her to pay her scholarship and some extra for groceries, stating that I put aside college fund for all girls in our family. My 2 daughters, my sister, a younger cousin, and a niece. This is just one account, and in my will, it stated it has to be divided between these girls for college expenses. My little sister is the oldest, and everybody else is between 6 to 12, and the ones who already finished college by the time I died gets nothing from that account. If I have more nieces, I'll add them too. Now to the problem. My sister decided to drop out, get pregnant and marry, planned with her boyfriend/fiancé of 6 months. I try not to be disappointed, I am, but I shut the heck up in real life about it. Today was the big announcement. I knew it beforehand, so I could act all happy. And after the lunch, she pulled me aside and asked to be left over to her college fund. I explained to her that there is no her fund. I already did this when she started college, and I'll be happy to pay for her tuition if she goes back someday. But she has to give me proof that she does go to college, because she pocketed the last semester's payment because she failed to inform me about her dropping out, and I sent her the money. She freaked out because she counted on that money for a down payment for a 3-bedroom apartment co-owning with her fiancé, but I stood firm in my decision. She accused me of trying to control her with my money and punishing her because she chose a different path in life, being a stay-at-home mom and not having a career. Our mom pointed out that it wasn't really feminist of me to not support her in this. Now for the comments before reading the update. Not the a-hole. You said you'd pay for college. She's not in college, and you're willing to pay if she chooses to go back, which makes you definitely not the a-hole. Your sister is seeing this as you giving her money because you've been sending her money to cover costs, and money's fungible. She's wrong, but I see how she came to that conclusion. I'd suggest if you want to avoid this sort of problems with the other people you are supporting, maybe ask them to send you the bill and instructions for how to pay it. With regard to your mom, I'm sure you've told her in the past how sexist she was about her disposition of educational support to your siblings. She's using your known vulnerability, your engagement with feminist ideas, to get a bit of revenge, which is horrible for her. Yeah, I'm definitely going to be more careful about this when my cousin reaches that age. She's next. If you are continuing with this college fund, pay the school directly, not the a-hole. I don't know what tax law is like in your country, OP, but in the US, paying for someone's tuition directly to the institution is a way to get around lifetime gift taxes for the recipient. In the US, gifts up to a certain amount per year is non-taxable for the recipient, but many tuitions are more expensive than that per year. So if you gave the money to the student to give to the school, they would be on the hook for paying taxes on some of that money. If you pay the school directly, then it doesn't count as gift or taxable income for the student. If something like this is the case in your country too, it might be much better for your cousin to have you pay directly anyway. Not the a-hole. How are you controlling her with money that isn't hers? That's just weird. The money is a college fund, not a down payment on a condo fund. And she's already stolen from you. Tell her to take it out of the money she already pocketed. Turns out she thought it's hers, and if she has a daughter, she's going to get added on that list. We had a smaller argument about this, because she asked what if it's a boy? And well, he's going to be a first his generation, and every great-grandparents of his is going to lose their freaking mind over it on our side of the family, and probably fiancé's side too. Not the a-hole. Go low contact with her. We already are. She knows I'm disappointed, and that I didn't think much of her fiancé. Now for the update. I decided to give you guys an update about the situation with some extra info. About the last semester's payment, little sister offered to pay me back. It's sitting on her account, but I just gifted it to her as baby and wedding contribution for me. And the college fund was a full misunderstanding. She actually thought that it's going to be divided between all girls while I'm alive. I explained to her why it's not gonna happen, and went into great details about our older sister's college experience, and she was actually horrified. So it's all good between us, but I'm gonna be a little distant. About my family, we are a deeply traumatized family in a traumatized country. Read a little about Hungary's history. We're having generational trauma for breakfast. I had a long talk with Mom. She tried to act happy at first about my sister's plan, but she broke down eventually. She's worrying too because sister is making the same bad decisions that Mom and I did. And this is why she wanted to get every help my sister she could think of, panicked, and became passive-aggressive towards me. Right now, we try to come up with a plan, how to help my sis without helping my soon-to-be douche brother-in-law. Even my father is against this guy and the marriage, but he tries to be nice because he's afraid he's gonna lose my little sister too. And a few words about Mr. Douche, my future brother-in-law. He's already trying to isolate my sister, who has a codependent personality and wants to play house with anybody who's willing to try it. Hard to watch this crap show, but when everything unfolds, she needs to know she got me, and Mom, maybe even Dad too in her corner. Me? Douche is careful with me, because they need the money, but still tried some crap steering with me. We'll see what happens next, but one thing for sure, after they split, 1 to 2 marriages ends in divorce over here, so the chances are high. I'm gonna find my sister a good therapist. Betty A-Hat dips out when he finds out the sister isn't bringing her college fund with her to the marriage. Nah, because he still will end up with a free bag maid. The Hungarian majority lives either below or very freaking close to the poverty line and hold extremely sexist views. So the fact that he will get a maid he can bang anytime while drinking away any money is a pretty cheery future a man here can ask for. I remember instantly falling in love with my husband when he, without prompting, started to dust or do the dishes and give me a painkiller when I was on my period. It's pretty freaking basic, but also it's pretty freaking hard to find as well. Where's brother, and why does he have 75% of his parents' estate? I'm also impressed that OP didn't throw in their mother's face about where was feminism when Big Sis lived in roach-infested apartment. And where is Big Sis too? It sounds like a bastardized version of the primogeniture still practiced here. The family seat, titles, and money goes to the firstborn male, the entire estate, in order that wealth isn't broken up into ever smaller pieces with each generation until, the horror, nobody can pay for the maintenance costs of their castle or their family's traditional seat in the countryside. Thus, they have to sell it. But Hungary was part of the USSR, and they abolished the inheritance of property. So there is no long line of inheritance and loss. And the parents are still alive. They just gave away their land to their son? After we left the Soviet Union, there was a redistribution of land based on the original property ownerships. So yes, the line of inheritance is still there. Usually what happens is that the kids just take over from the parents and the parents retire, but they still own the land. They just write a will if they don't want their kids to inherit evenly. I have a friend that grew up like this. Her father was Serbian and so is her husband. Her parents paid for her brother to be a doctor and the other one a chiropractor, while she got nothing. Her parents expected her to get married and not have a profession. She put herself through nursing school, and her brother paid for her master's degree. She's now getting her doctorate, and she was a director at the University of Pennsylvania. Now she goes to rehab hospitals around the country and evaluates them. Moral of the story, some women wants to be more and nothing will stop them. Not even misogynistic parents. Last story. Am I the a-hole for not supporting my sister's plan to be a single mom by choice? My 30 male sister, 32 female, recently got out of a 7-year relationship after being cheated on. She was sure that she was going to marry this guy. She's wanted to be a mom for a while, but was waiting to be married. A couple nights ago, she came over to my house and had dinner with my family. After the kids went to bed, she told me and my wife about her plan to have a kid via sperm donor. I think she thought I was going to be happy for her, but I was not. I told her I can't believe that after growing up without a father in the household because our dad died when we were very young, she would purposely put kids in that situation. It seems incredibly selfish. She said she's prepared to do it alone and has strong men to be role models around, including me. I told her not to rely on me as a major role model, as my wife and I are strongly considering moving abroad before our kids start school. My wife is an EU citizen, and we may move to be closer to her family in Europe. Suffice to say, the rest of the conversation didn't go well. She stormed out, and yesterday was texting me how disappointed in me she was. I basically told her sorry if I was harsh, but I 100% believe everything I said. I just can't imagine purposely bringing a kid into a disadvantaged situation like that just because she's not sure if she'll ever find a partner again. You can disagree all you want and you shouldn't be forced into a father figure. But if you think that a child has a better life just because it has 2 parents, that's just crazy. My parents divorced when I was 2 years old, and my mother was my primary provider and she raised me without my father. And I have an amazing life, and I'm an amazing person because of my mother, and I grew up without a male figure around. My first male figure came into my life when I was 11 years old in the form of my stepdad. Don't put down single mothers because you don't believe in it or grew up in a tough way. But it is a lot easier with 2 involved parents versus 1. The key is both need to be involved. Sure, I was raised by a single mother for years, and it's rough. We were fine, sister and I mostly, but really hard on my mom. I have a friend who married a POS, had 2 kids with him and then divorced. She is a fantastic mom, and her kids are far better off without their father in their lives, but she has it hard. There was no downtime when you are a single parent. Everything starts and stops with you, and it can be really exhausting and relentless. When you have a dependable, involved partner, you can beg off when you need to. Whether it's because you had a tough day at work, are tired, or not feeling it, whatever. You can also divide and conquer. One parent handles school drop-offs, one parent handles appointments, one parent buys clothing, one parent takes care of lunches. You alternate who stays home with a sick child, etc. When you're a single parent, you do all of it all the time, and it is not easy.